What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the furnace. Welcome back. Welcome back. I guess do we ever really leave? Right? We gotta stay in that fire if we want to be purified. We gotta stay in the lane of truth if we want to come out with anything good. Any other direction, to the right hand or to the left, we'll find ourselves in places that we don't want to be. But we're always thankful to be in a place of growth. We're always thankful to just be here, the opportunity we have to grow. So please be thankful of the life and breath that you have. But I am blessed once again to just stand right here in the fire with you. And like I said, I appreciate everyone who has subscribed, everyone who has taken the opportunity to jump in the furnace, and am truly, like I said, grateful for anyone who has shared. Like I said, we're all in this together. We're all in this together. This isn't a place for me. This is a place for us. So, with that, I just want to just thank everyone who's done that. If you haven't, take the opportunity to do so. Subscribe. If you want to be here, if you want to be a part of growth, if you want to be a part of something more and something better, that we can begin to become better people to give back to life instead of always seeking ways to take from it or trying to find a way to savagely get in it. Just becoming more, starting with ourselves, from our minds, our hearts, our souls, willing to get in the fire, willing to uh, I would say, like, pull out the ugly truths of ourselves, of the world, and put them in real perspective, that we can begin to, hey, be reborn, be reshaped, be made new. I believe there's a new you, like I believe there's a new me. I believe that we more than our minds can conceive we are. I believe that it's the God that tells us that. But whatever it is for you, just remember that you are more. You are more every day that you wake up, and every opportunity you have, and take an opportunity to kiss your babies, kiss your mom, hug a friend, just realize how blessed you are and how cherished that moment is. We take a lot of things for granted. I don't want to take being in here in the furnace for granted, but just truly just bring to light what it means. So, once again, we're here. We're here, got a few topics that were on my heart. They came to mind through, I guess I would say, events that occurred yesterday. It made me just kind of really think about it. It was on my heart enough and mind enough to want to bring it to the furnace today. So, hey, let's get into it. I'm not going to take too long. We're going to title this the King's food for thought. I just want to bring some stuff into the fire that we may take it out, put it on the table. You know, there's a lot of things that I think we see every day that we just know ain't right. But sometimes I think if we don't truly meditate on why it's wrong and what we need to be in those situations, I think sometimes we can also fall into the category of those things, and we're not here to be reformed. We're not here to be formed and continue to be conformed to the things in front of us, but to be reformed to a point of transform, right? So that's the idea of jumping in this furnace. So, hey, thank you, my furnace dwellers, all those who choose to tune in, and for those soon to tune in, we're going to keep it going. We're going to stay locked in. This is what we do, is we seek truth, we jump in the fire, and we grow. So with that, I just want to bring up the topic that I have, and it was adulting. Adulting, I called it. Just being an adult today, being a grown person. What is that? What is that? How do we look at that? For me, looking at things, and I'm just gonna go over some events that, which I see plenty of things each and every day, and I'm not holding myself higher than anyone, but like I said, the only higher perspective The only thing that changes is higher perspectives. Okay, so this is not judging because I believe only God can judge. But this is just being real, right? If it's blue, it's blue. If the kettle's black, it's black. If it's a spade, it's a spade. And so I look at things in those contexts, um, because truly, I wherever this lands, I want anyone to be able to grab it and grow from wherever we are. But I had some events yesterday. It was a for one. First, let me start off and give a shout out to my son Jaden Raekwon Alba. He pushed through. He went through the fire and he graduated. So it was a very, very precious moment in time, one that I cherish and got to be a part of. You know, being in that fire together and being in that fire as a family and being able to continue to grow as a family is amazing. And that's why I say, though we are challenged each and every day, going through them challenges together are amazing. Because when we come out on the other end together, it's amazing. And just being able to see him walk across that stage and something that he's been pushing through and getting to, and I just know that as he continues to blossom, he's going to continue to grow into that wonderful man and soon to be that wonderful king of his life and his family. But during that precious moment, as we all received and were blessed to be part of, all who were there celebrating their families and loved ones. Um, at the end, as we're meeting all up, you know, we're on our way out. We're making our way out. Now, as we make our way out, there's a lot of traffic, and there's only so many ways that we can go. And we're all kind of converging on a one exit. And as we're celebrating our children and our young adults, next step and next journey, getting past this phase of their life, instantly things change. We're leaving, and it's hot. We're in Texas heat. I get it. Texas heat will make anybody, you might have to say a few Hail Marys in some Texas heat. But granted, we're all leaving, and then all of a sudden, you know, the impatientness of people was revealed. You know, people's true characters instantly come out. Them smiles and them facades and, you know, whatever, we were being around each other and celebrating. Just instantly you see the ugliness start coming out. People start cutting people off. There's horns honking. And we're all caught in the same thing. Like, it's literally, you can't do nothing but be respectful and let you in and out. But you got people that either don't want to let people in. You got people feel like they're not being let in. You got people that's cutting people off, going around people, I had a lady who went around another lady to get on the side of me to converge on the opposite end, and then another person followed them and trying to literally car to car, cut me off, people yelling. You can see them yelling and talking and looking in their cars. The people that is wrong is talking like they right. And here it is, these are grown people. These are grown people, you know, probably the parents of the kids, grandparents, aunts, whatever, so on. And, man, it just really took me back for a second. And I even had to hold my peace. I had my kids with me. And, you know, I couldn't allow it to make me react the way I kind of started wanting to react, especially when the lady, you know, is all up on my car and trying to edge up with me. And being completely disrespectful and ignorant, because that's what it is. Hey, I'm just gonna call it what it is. And you know, I could have got in that same way, rolled my window down and lost it in front of my kids, but it wasn't that. Like I said, at the end of the day, it's not worth our energy to allow people to take us there. But this is happening over and over. Eventually, they start going through the grass. One of the cops that are supervising the scene, the area at the time, he pulls up. They come out. He passes by. She comes out almost right behind him, like not even caring about the cop. Another person does the same thing and literally going through the grass, jumping the curb on the side of us to get through. Now you're cutting multiple people off. And this is happening kind of throughout. So it's not. I'm just talking about my one perspective, but I could see all of these different things happening, and I'm just shocked to see that it was. I'm not shocked to see, but it's shocking to see grown people doing childish things and being like children. I mean, yelling and this and that and upset and honking horns when we're all literally in the same situation. So it just brought me to think how we view ourselves as adults and grown people or mature people. How do we really look at that? Like, what does that really mean? Because I think there's a false concept in that. And I have more topics that will at some point branch off to that because, like I said, I do want to at some point talk about men and talk about women. You know, I believe that, and that'll be a hot topic, obviously. But once again, leave your thoughts. Leave your thoughts. If you have the opportunity, just on how you feel in any type of way about it. Because I think, like I said, that's where we grow is when we communicate, right? So this is a form of communication nowadays, and until we can get to that point, as I believe God will purpose and grow what is going on here, that maybe we'll actually be able to rub shoulders, maybe even sup together and things like that. Like I really believe in something bigger than myself, but with that, leave your thoughts on this. I think it's a big subject because I think we really just need to view and sit down and look at it. Like I said, look at yourself every day. Look at yourself. We should be doing this, and I think it's as examples or to be examples. And believe me, I'm not the best example. I'm just someone who gets up and tries every day. If I can have anything to say about myself is that I don't really know how to give up, but I've had moments where I've given in and they've been ugly. Okay, so I'm not even going to shy away from that. But if my kids or my wife will ever be able to say anything about me, is that I always got back up to pursue what was right with all that I had. Okay, so I'm just throwing that out there because I'm not gonna fake the funk neither. Um, but yeah, so as these adults were acting like that, I'm just kind of torn in my mind, like, wow, this is society, right? So this is just a fraction of what the whole world is, right? So you talking about, like, to me, it's weird because we cannot look at things, but for me, it is actually baffling that we have to exist in this, and then we have young people who are coming up after us that we're supposed to be raising, and then little ones who they're supposed to be raising, and here it is, we're showing that this is how we're supposed to be, just uncaring, selfish, disrespectful to others for no real reason. We're all in the same situation, right? Just how quick we can go from this beautiful thing to this scene that could have got a lot worse. Luckily, everybody, I guess, just roll with the wave. But we all know it don't take but someone to jump out, get to running their mouth, and it's kind of hard with our pride and as people and dealing. We already caught in the same situation, not to let it happen. So I'm glad that everybody kept it chill enough to get through and out. Um, but yeah, like as grown folks, as mature people, is I'm just wondering where our views are on being that and doing things that we tell our kids not to do, doing things that we try to direct our children from doing, and trying to teach our young adults how to be. And we're supposed to have all this care and worry for them as we're bringing them up and what they do and situations to stay out of. But yet we seem to reflect such a different, um, reflect a different, we're two-sided. It's a two-sided coin, and it's like we could flip the coin when we want to, but we're telling them that they need to be this way. You know what I mean? We're hypocritical. Very, very, very hypocritical, and none of us like a hypocrite. And that's the thing is, like, we got to hold ourselves to the candle because we know we all can have some point of being hypocritical or any of these things. But are we? The thing is, what's the overriding mode of you? Like, is that what someone's first going to think of when they see you? So I think that's the difference. I think everyone has told a lie or something, but is that what somebody's going to think? No, they're gonna, if they can come to you and be like, nah, he's really honest, or that person's really honest. So you're not. It's not part of your mode. It doesn't mean you haven't done it. You're just geared to honesty. So it's like, what are you gearing? What are we gearing ourselves to? So that we've all been wrong in many ways. So, but when someone looks at you, what do they see? And I'm just thinking with most of what I see in adults that I see many people that don't want to stand up to the plate of really just being those examples and growing. Really selfish. Some people that were driving had, grandbabies with them and other young adults with them. And here we got these young adults who are trying to figure out life, trying to figure out how to be. They still, in some way, have one foot in and one foot out. They're not only trying to figure out all these things, they're also fighting the world and we're in the direction of the world. So they have to do all of this and then turn around and have us as examples who are, moving the way that we're moving and acting the way that we're acting. So it was really disturbing to see. So, and I know many of us have had that, right, at the grocery store and all these other things. But I think if I'm gonna leave anything in the furnace for those who are in the furnace, the children of the furnace, right? Uh, is don't allow life to dictate the best you, and sit down and really reflect. Are you the best you, and what can you change to continue to elevate? Because I don't expect these things to happen overnight. But how are we telling our kids how to be if we're acting like them and at times worse? We're raising our little ones. Our grandmothers don't really seem to be grandmothers anymore. What that really was. My big mom, and I can think about when I grew up with the separation, I felt like I had some type of uncles, and I felt like I had, grandmothers, and I've been prayed over, and I've had these, and that's what like, but now I see like the blend, and sometimes it's just hard to tell who's who, and a lot of it's just because of our actions in our mind. Um, yeah. So that's the topic for today. How do we view being mature and grown? And if we say that we're on top of it, and if we say that mentally and spiritually, just as people, we or whatever, right? Just status wise, whatever we're doing, if we're saying that we're on top of it, and that's what taking care of business looks like. That as long as we pay bills and do all these other adult things or mature things, that we can still have the excuse to act like this. How are we going to then punish or deem our young adults who begin to start doing the same thing? Or even our children who are like, hey, well, I'm doing good in school. I got good grades. Why can't I do this or talk like that or da 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 da? I'm doing what I got to do. Like you say, you doing what you got to do. But when you doing what you doing and you coming in like this and that, and you had your moments of honestly, for a lot of children, sometimes we embarrass them. You know what I mean? So if we get to that point where we say, as long as you're taking care of business, you have the right to do that. What's to stop them from doing the same thing? And how are we not creating the same cycle? It's really, really deep because we say that the children are our future. But do we actually live our lives like they're our future? Or are we just pushing them to be better than us? Which is, like I said, it's hypocritical. It's hypocritical. You got to be growing. You got to stay growing. Um, excuse me. Yeah, you got to stay growing because that's the process of life. If you're not growing and still living, to me, that's just another form of death. It's like just becoming, um, I mean, to me, highly disrespectful to life itself. And I'm not saying it's easy to go into that perspective because I know we all have our challenges or why we are or why we think the way we think. But like I said, I want to put this in the fire to put it on the table, to put it on the table that we really can meditate on this, sit with it, because our children deserve it. You deserve it. There's a better you. There's someone who loves you. There's people around you. And I'm a firm believer. I just don't feel like somebody has to always accept the worst. Am I blessed because my wife accepts the worst of me and she has, come to love me with parts that I have that she maybe doesn't like as much and just dealt with a lot? Yeah. But that's also the purpose in me to grow so that because I love her and because she deserves more, that I seek to grow to get rid of, diminish all of that as much as possible and give her more of a different form of myself that's better. And for my kids, the same. Have they had to deal with me in my transitions? Yeah, of course. And I feel terrible about it. But I know it's a part of the process of life. And I know all I can do as a man is just become better and seek to be better in those areas that I'm not. And as long as I have breath and as long as they're in my world, they deserve that. But also because I am a blessed creation, I should be on a constant path of becoming, because the only thing that lessens all that greatness, whatever you want to call it, the only thing that lessens that, the things that make me a highly intellectual being, is me being ignorant and not growing. Those are the things that lessen us as people when we pump our brakes and stop moving forward in the areas that we need to grow. Like I said, even a good person, I mean, even a bad person can do good things. You know, another thing I want to bring up is, with that is, moments of being out of control. So I kind of just, I don't have a bunch of questions. It's just a topic I really would like anyone to comment on. I just kind of did some points to it. Um, but with that, moments of being out of control outweighing moments you're in control. So like I said, when your good outweighs your bad, why do we think, and as adults, as mature people, why do we think we can still say, why do we still think the good thing we're doing in some miraculous way is outweighing all of this, when everything over here is showing and telling your life with detail where you are and who you are? Moments like just coming out of somewhere and being stuck in traffic will detail your inner core. When the fire gets turned up, when the fire is turned up, that's when you get to see who somebody really, really is. Or what they have inside of them, should I say. But we like to say that because of this part is bigger than this part, but this part is everywhere in your life. You got into it yesterday. You was yelling at somebody on the road that day. You da da da, da da da, and it's like, or arguments, and you done told somebody else from the grocery store, like, this is a part of you. Yeah, you fed your kids. You did a few things. You got a few things you could check off. But don't think it's outweighing this, because this honestly is damaging this. Your kids might be able to say, "Hey, I never had to worry about food. I never had to worry about clothing. I never had to." They might be able to say that, and you gonna get some praise for that. And I think anyone should is doing somewhat of what they should do, and the good things you are doing. I'm not taking away from any good, because good is good, and that's just that. But what I'm saying is, I can be growing the most beautiful apple tree, right? I'm just using an example. But if I keep pouring poison in the roots, but then I water it too. I pour poison in the roots, I water it too. You think because you think you're watering down the poison that it's still not poison? No, that tree is still dying, whether it's dying even slower. We're still hurting our children and hurting other people, even if we're just hurting them slower, because we're not being real and we're not growing. That we can have a moment, good moments, and then destroy them in one instance. That your child can go from feeling loved to feeling unloved. And I feel like if you love your children or you love anything or anyone, right, you never want it to get to the point of unlove, that should never exist if you can help it. And so you work and you get in the fire, you get in the furnace to come out that this doesn't happen, and that can never be questioned. So the way I look at it, I don't feel like the people we love should have to sift through all that to know that they're loved. Digging and moving stuff like, oh, there it is. And I also don't feel like they should also think it's okay. Because if they think it's okay, then in turn, they're going to turn around and do the same thing in their lives to those that they love. But I know a lot of us are coming out of different situations. A lot of it are coming out of different heartaches and pains. I get it. So this is where we find ourselves. But when we look at the world today, and we're supposed to be adults. We're supposed to be like, you know what I mean? If we would be the governing factor, I guess, at this point. I feel like society, I feel like all the things, our history, things that have happened in our communities, I know have shaped and made us and bred a lot of what we have and see. I'm not blind to it. I'm not saying that I don't understand. What I'm putting out is a call to be more, because you are. That is the challenge that we face. To wake up, look in the mirror, and be more. And be careful how we're pulled in to these life cycles, or analyzing if these things that we're doing are right and have they ever bore any good fruit at all. Like I said, you can always tell a tree by its fruit. And that's just the bottom line, and there's no running away, and there's no getting away from it. So, I just want us to take a good hard look at ourselves as people, as mature people, as parents, as young adults, because a lot of these things aren't right. And a lot of times we'll have things that we knew weren't right and felt a certain way when we were younger that we now do in our lives to our children or just in our character, because it becomes a norm. And we got to break that cycle. Take it, throw it in that fire. Let it cook, let it bake, let it be purified till you come out with what you need, because there's a jewel in it. But if we have things we need to work on, then we got to look in the mirror and work on them. Because it's no way that we can feel that it's okay. And it's funny because we can I've heard many conversations of people who think that they're at that level of maturity, talk about other people at a certain level of maturity or something they did, and then turn around and do something that was just as immature or more. Like, we got these fake concepts that we just, like I said, hey, I'm throwing it out. I'm telling you, I'm grabbing it. I ain't going to leave it. Everybody getting touched. Everybody's getting touched. Because you have a false concept on what that means. And for me, God is tremendous, because God has really helped me identify. I did like that because my Bible's there. So, it's tremendous for me because it helps me really put these things in position. because the world has shaped and put all these things in different places and how it wanted to be from the wicked imaginations of men's hearts has this world been reformed and shaping, and we're all products of that brokenness and that system. So I understand why what we get, but we can face the challenge and stand up and be more. And that's by being a grown up first, being mature enough to say, and you don't have to, and you don't have to be completely, just a grown up. You just have to be mature. Because I tell my kids, I tell people all the time, you don't have to wait till you're 40 years old to get it. You don't have to wait till you're this old to get it. You can start digesting it now. There's hope. There's always hope, but we have to address it because this is not okay. And if we can just be those pockets of truth and realness and elevation in a world that's de-escalating, and I would say it's trying to think of the right word, but in its morals and everything at the highest rate I've ever seen, we can be an effect. And the more and more we're able to do, and the more and more we're able to work on our kids and give them those jewels, those precious jewels, because these are precious. Wisdom is precious. Wisdom is precious. It can also make someone think they know it all and be an idiot, but then that's not wisdom, because they have left wisdom. Because in wisdom, any real wise man knows that you never stop learning and you never stop growing. And with that is the big thing, is that you can never stop listening. We got to stay tuned in. We got to stay tuned in. We got to stop tuning out. You can't just be driving with them headphones on. I'm talking to you. Can't be walking across some streets, just don't even see the car. Y'all know what I'm talking about. We done almost hit them. We got to start, and them are young people. But some of them are adults. A lot of them are adults. So I'm saying you almost can't even tell the difference. If I didn't see that bald spot and satchel, I might not even have known. Because it's on the same directive and the same path. But that's what the world is doing. And here in the furnace, we trying to do something different. So let's keep growing and let's be more responsible as grown folks. And take a look at ourselves in every category, from a person, parent, whatever categories fall into your categories. And this is even as a young person, if you listening to this, wherever, if you're a son, student, whatever that your categories are, and look at it, analyze it. They say there's many ways to skin a cat. There's many ways to skin a cat, and I believe that only in a certain aspect. But I believe we all can find our ways to get to where we're going. But I believe there's still only one tool that's meant to be used. Right? Like, I don't think that we can just decide exactly how we want to. There's always a core that we have to stick to doing something. And when we can't go outside of that, or we'll be doing nothing different than we've done our whole lives, which is take things that we've seen and then just try to manipulate them and do them our own way, and then assume mentally that we're doing them better because we've never actually searched to what better is. So if we don't seek what that right way actually looks like or is, or that makes sense logically, if we don't actually get to that point, then we can't never assess, right? We can't never assess really what we're doing. So we have to continue to be those truth seekers so that we can grow as people, especially in this world today. If you're going to hold that flame of truth up each and every day, don't bow down to things that are going to degrade you as a person, and that's many things in this world. So be careful what you're feeding yourself mentally, especially if you're trying to reshape and be new. That's just a little nugget. because that's really, really, really important of what we're feeding ourselves. If you want to be new and you're trying to change and we're trying to grow, then let's make sure that we're feeding ourselves more of that. And you know that you can get that right here at the furnace because that's the purpose. Um, because, I do think about looking at it, what is our responsibilities as adults, as parents, as uncles, grandparents, um, what are our responsibilities? We have to start really getting back to what it means to be what we are. And I think things have been redefined in many ways. Um, Husband, wife, So once you start talking about redefining, everything that hangs on to that eventually gets redefined. I'm just being, I got to put it out there. I got to throw it in, and I'm going to put it in the fire. Because we just don't want to look at it so tight noosed. Because we're like, no, it's connected. It's all connected. So if you redefine marriage, and you redefine man and women, and then you got to redefine everything that's attached to that, and the young ones that come up with that. So through our redefining, we find ourselves a lot where we're here today. I'm not saying people weren't already impatient or patience and things like that are learned, and that's why I'm saying like we already have all these traits, but these traits have been amplified by a world that triggers them on a day-to-day basis, and then we find out these are our ways to survive, right? Like we find out, even I want to say, I don't want to call it scientifically, but I know they did studies, like even homes that yell all the time end up producing children that yell all the time. Facts. And they found that homes that handle things more calmly and talk more calmly, that they have more calm children. And I'm not saying it's perfect. We know they could be, because that's what we like to do. We like, when we trying to make some, we like to get technical. Well, not this one. Yeah, but we talking about statistics and percentage, right? It's a higher percentage that more likely this is what it's going to be. So we ourselves have to just get better in all these areas, learning to communicate, because what does it mean to be in what we are? In my place as an uncle, with my nieces and nephews, what does that mean? How do I mark their lives if I truly care about generational wealth? And we seem to always care about the money aspect of it. If we can do it, let it be money. And money ain't never saved nobody's soul. Money ain't never elevated nobody's capacity. I mean, they could pay for school, but you can't take away ignorance. I'm sorry. We can see these people now in office. We can see these people now that stars and people we look up to. And these are grown folks that our kids look up to. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, this is food for thought. Food for thought. I want to put it on your brain because it's very, very detrimental. That I think we talk about this because we can't grow as just an individual. Because like today it's like people want to grow and I want to find the new me and I need to and then that separates them from their loved one or their spouse, or like your new journey now separates you from all of this, but you still fall into them categories. You fell into them categories, but now you're trying to disconnect from them categories because the world got you thinking about some personal journey that you need to have because the world's producing all this selfishness that you end up lacking in these other areas. You never get better in these areas. But you say your main scope is too, right? It's like, don't fall out the rules, fall out the law. It is what it is. You just seek to get better in all these different things. And when you seek, and like I said, I'll put God in my life, because when those good things begin to manifest, they manifest in every part of my life, and I begin to have peace. So what that is for you, and how you're seeking it, whether you're working on meditation to bring it, but allow those things to move you and elevate you and really produce fruit into your life. Because life is always going to be hectic. It's always going to be chaos. We have what we have, but we can have peace within it when our perspectives change and we change as people. because the fruit that it's bearing. When we're not as impatient, you know how much energy it takes to be mad, and then you know how much it takes away from. Because now you got to go from that much energy loss to now trying to find your way back to positivity, and now you know got upset at your kids or somebody else, your husband, your wife. You're taking it out on them. They don't even deserve it, and you just now you upset at life and the world, and I need a therapist. Back at it, back at it, back at it. If you haven't seen all the episodes, go check them out. I'm gonna touch on everything, and I'm always gonna revert back because there's a core. It's all connected at the end of the day. So yeah, really reflect on what it means. You know, when you are involved in your nieces, nephews, children's lives, and how do we operate with each other, and then begin to say that I'm an adult or I'm this, you know, and are you reflecting what that means truly? Like many people want to say kings and I'm a queen now and I'm this and I'm that, but are you really representing what that means and what that was supposed to mean? Do you have the class of saying what that is supposed to mean? Are you elevating in your mind, seeking to continue to grow, to that you can be the blessings to everything that falls under you and around you? So yes, just keep seeking. Throw it in the furnace every day. You wake up on your own. You ain't got to be right here. Take your life, look at it, boom, 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 throw it in the furnace. What do I need to be better? Because I have to. Because there's times where I might trip out and say something to my kids, and I just didn't mean to say it that way. And it irks me and it bothers me because I know it's not right, and I know this is not how we're supposed to be, and I know this is not how we're supposed to communicate. And even for me to be in any place of mind to relate to them while we're having this challenge, how can I do that by I'm yelling because the way you acting, and I'm doing this because of the way you got me, and I'm still yelling. I'm still in this form of mind, thinking that I'm gonna feed them anything to understand what's wrong here. It's ridiculous. We got to really think about it. Got to really think about it. Because I hate to see in the way that we're affected and the way and it starts with ourselves. Don't get me wrong, it does start with ourselves, because to be that better person, to be that better uncle, be that better aunt, to be that better mom, dad, to be that better brother, sister, whatever, it really takes in the way that we're treating ourselves, what we think of ourselves. Um, and that is a big scope, and that's why I'm grateful that God tells me who I am, whose I am, and as a child of the King, King of Kings, right? So, Lord of Lords, you know, it just puts me in perspective of the royalty and calling upon me. I don't know how to I'm just trying to put it in the frame so when you understand who you are, you can move past a lot of junk to get to a really good place with yourself and begin to produce good things in your life. And the scripture says your cup overfloweth. Your enemies might even be blessed because you overflowing, and you can't be mad at that because you're not living a life of grudge and hate. You just letting grace and blessing do what it do. But you have peace and you have surety, and it keeps you on that path. And you're gonna fall off. We all fall. I fall off all the time, but it's just because. But I know where I'm going, so I get up, dust myself out, get back on the road. But I'm just not living a life where this is consistency, and I'm making a choice to just veer off the road because I already know where that ends up for me, and I already know the person that I would be because I know myself. And we all say we know ourselves, and we take these little victories. Yeah, I could have just punched them right in their face, but you know what I'm saying, I didn't. You know, it wasn't the time. And you had that moment of victory, like you just really did the biggest input of your life, in which it is a victory. But then you turn around and have a fight down the street or on Friday. So though you didn't do it there, you still did it there, but you didn't do it here because you were respecting, you know, maybe you had somebody, which I'm glad you did. But it's still like we just take these little things and think that we're really, really on some path of growth. I didn't do this, or I don't. Now, sometimes, like I said, I tell people this all the time because I had to think about it myself. Like I have a choice how I grow. So I have a choice to grow by default, or I have a choice to grow intentionally. And I don't know how you look at that or our views. And I think a lot of times we're making intentional acts. We made an intentional act to tune in. We make an intentional act to do a lot of different things that we want to do. People do. We're doing it all the time in some way, but we're not always being more intentional in these other areas of our life. That need that intentional act. So if somebody tells me, hey, man, you seem like a good person. You are a good person. I know the inside of me is not good, but who God has allowed me to be, and seeking to be all that I'm called to be, has me intentionally doing good. So I'm not always surprised to hear that, but I'm also humbled that I'm allowed to be anything considered that, because I know that I'm not. So I know that it's coming from the intentional things that I'm doing in my life and that God is doing, right? Because He's intentionally, and I'm not trying to keep it there because I know we all have our perspectives, but the intentional blessing that I have is impressing upon me intentionality that I'm getting, bearing that fruit. So really, I'm more humbled than, oh, I'm elevating, walking around with my chest all out. Nah, I'm actually humbled tremendously to hear anything like that, because I know myself, and we all can be there, and it should be this growth path we're on should be humbling, because we don't even have to be alive. So just to be here, we should be humbled to be in the furnace. So let's grow. Let's grow. Let's be better people. Let's be better adults. Let's be better moms, parents. Let's look at how we speak. Let's look at how we communicate. Let's look at how we treat each other, men and women, how you speak to each other in front of your kids. Let's really start looking at all these things. Everything is a cause and effect, and we were just that connected. Just that situation yesterday could have took someone that I know at some point and somewhere in the world did. Plenty of people, you could take someone from a good space to a bad space, and someone could have went from really happy to really angry off of just your actions. And truthfully, you would have allowed that to happen. And so, you know what I mean? It's just all this cause and effect, and then your children, other people would have been infected. So I just feel like, and when I say effect, it doesn't mean that the effect is always tears and boo-hooing, all right? But I'm talking about future tears, future boo-hooing, scars we're leaving, things we're doing that hurt us later. We're still doing those things that other people did, and other things we've learned, and in this world we've learned, that are hurting us today. No matter how far we advance, no matter how far that we go, no matter how far that we grow, we're still doing things that take away from all of that. I get it. Working, having a car, doing that, raising kids, it's difficult. In doing so, you feel like you stepped into that world, and I'm taking care of life. I'm not doing what I used to do. Excuse me. Water time, y'all. Um, I'm not doing what I used to do, and I get it. My thing is just don't be content. You are worth it all. You're worth it all, and you're worth to keep growing and being the most extraordinary you, beautiful you, amazing you, marvelous you, that there is, and the closest you can get to that in this life. So seek that. Surround yourself around people that want that for you, because everything hangs on this, and our kids, our children, our future really, really need us to step up. Yeah. So with that, I'm gonna move. I'm gonna hopefully see where we at. Yeah, I didn't even plan to hit it like this, but I'm gonna try to wrap it up real quick. But I do want to ask a question. I do have a question. Like I said, respond to any of it. Leave a thought on any of it. Please do. References, books, anything you have that'll help anyone, leave in the comments, leave somewhere that we can get to it. I want to read it. Everyone deserves it. Let's just try to grow and continue to do what we do here in the furnace. Um, but why is living reactive? Oh, two, if you just tuned in, leave a like, subscribe, join the furnace, join the soldiers here to grow as we continue to seek to achieve better selves. All is welcome. Like I said, share. Let someone know we all deserve to just continue to elevate as people wherever we are. Um, so I'm thankful for you stopping by. But like I said, if you haven't, like, subscribe, share, that we can continue to roll, we can continue to grow. Tell a friend, tell your pastor. This is for everybody. This is ain't leaving nobody out. Tell your grandmother. Just even half of it. We're just all here. We're all here together. This is one big thing, and it's an amazing thing. If you haven't checked out episode 1, go check that out. If you haven't seen episode 2, go check that out. They all fire. They all hot. It's we right here. You hear it now. It's so many different topics that we're touching, and so many different topics that we need. So if you haven't checked it out, subscribe, that you may be linked in, and that you can check that out. And tell a friend. But yeah, we're gonna keep it rolling. So why is living reactive as a person a negative thing? When we live, for me, and I will, wait to hear your response, but living reactive, and I know we try not to, but it's hard in this life. Um, I know that's hard in this life, not living reactive, because we react to everything, right? We're just so connected. It's hard not to react to your children that are being disrespectful, or, or a wife or a husband that says, cause we love, and the more you love something, the more reactive you are to it, right? That's just natural. And then we go out into a world where we have to hold our own, and you got people pushing and shoving, and you're trying not to react. Like, it's almost no way, because you learn to be reactive, right? You have to earn respect. You have to do this. And we learn all these ways that we're supposed to do to survive. And another thing is, surviving isn't living, okay? And a lot of us, from different circumstances, from where we come from, have learned to survive. We're not living. So I just want to throw that out there. But we learned all these different things to survive. And we become very, very and highly reactive. And for us who haven't even learned to control ourselves emotionally, broken things producing other broken things, right? Hurt people producing other hurt people. So we come from this throughout our generations, because everybody's caught in this system that I'm talking about. And, we become very reactive, but in reactive, we hurt other people, and we produce more negative. I know we touched on some of that anyways, but, that's what we're trying to stay away from. Being reactive doesn't help you. Try to be less reactive. And it just brings me to a small thing that says, that we've all heard is, and even in scripture, it talks about as well. And I'm sure in other places and other proverbs as well. But just less talking and more listening. Something I have to learn. Something I've been trying to teach myself as well. Because just sometimes, man, my brain just be going, and sometimes I have to them gears are grinding just so I can listen. Because everybody deserves to be heard. Everybody deserves to be received. But sometimes we talk too much and talk too fast, and we talk out of line, and that's ignorance. So being less reactive and taking pauses, taking breaths, whatever that looks like, so that you can remain in the state that you are in. Because if you allow these other things to come in, chemical reaction, right? And then that disturbs the state and compound in which something is. And it would have to go through a whole nother process to get back. I know, it's deep. I'm just trying to put it out there. So try to be less reactive. Try to work on your patience. From your kids. Start in your home. Start in your homes. If I got to say anything, start in your homes. Start with yourself. Start in your homes. That is the most important part. And like I tell my kids, especially because I got kids, and if you got kids, you probably know. But I also, with myself and things that I've been taught and given, that how you are at home, more than likely is how you're going to be out in the world. So what you do at home, if you disrespectful here, when that teacher call, you think I ain't gonna think you disrespectful there. Now we can cover and hide it. You got some people good, better than others. You got children they can do it. Some people, man, and that's another thing. Some people too good at hiding. Y'all quit acting like that. So when you walk around and everybody thinks you is deacon, whatever, and you finally blow up, you've been hiding so long that they done forgot you was a person. So now you're gonna be held to that fire now that you done did so. So just be real with yourself and be real with people. Don't walk high and mighty and think that you're more, but work on being patient and less reactive. Um, and that's, we have many reasons why it's so hard to not be reactive, and we know we can rattle those things off, one by one, and we all have individual trials, bosses, oh man, people, right? Like it's just so many things, but we don't get to people that are seeking don't get to just disengage. You have to be there in the furnace, and you're trying to be the best in those moments that you may mature in those moments, but avoiding moments and avoiding those things. I'm not saying you run headfirst into to foolishness. What I'm saying is just trying to hide. And I love the way Scripture puts it for me. And if anybody has a different proverb or anything like that from anywhere, more than welcome. Would love to hear it. But Scripture for me says you wouldn't take a light. Jesus says you wouldn't take a light and put it under a bushel. No, you would put it on the mantle for it to shine. So for you to, as you grow and you're becoming that light, don't hide your shine from anyone. Continue to be that, because someone is looking at you. They might be able to identify with you, might be wanting to grow and change, and you might be holding something that could help someone in their lives. Like I said, we're all affected, and if there is going to be a reaction, let it be that one. Next question is, why is self-control so important in the chaotic world of hustle and bustle? And I think it's just that. It's important. Very important that we work on self-control, because it affects our children, affects others around us. It affects ourselves. It affects our mental and our spiritual lives as much as, if anything. And once those two are affected, like I said, all is at unrest. But it just affects so many different things in your lives when you lack self-control. When you lack, especially men hear that self-control. Real men have self-control, but real people and mature people have self-control. Some of the most disciplined people, and that's the thing about self-control, it's a form of discipline, it's a form of maturity. So really we got to work on that, right? Hey, we all eat more than we need to. We all do things more than we need to. We all overindulge in so many different areas more than we need to. And because we lack that self-control, you're going to see that lack of self-control in a parking lot. Come on, bear with me. Just trying to feed you a little bit. So yeah, we really got to work on that. I don't know what it is in your life. Choose one thing and begin to make it a very prominent thing that you're working on. And I would say let it be the most important thing. I would say let it be something that, with your children, something that's affected, husband, significant other, somebody you close to, mother, whoever, wherever that little fringe is at, and there's something you need to work on in that area of your life to have a better part of that area in your life, that would be the one that I would personally pick. But you are you, so any step forward is great. So make sure that let's do that as furnace dwellers that are seeking to be better. Um, so yeah, I mean that's just the challenge we face every day. That's just the challenge we face every day. But you know what? Hey, I appreciate it. Appreciate everyone once again. I'm thankful to have this opportunity. I do have a little bit more, but I think I'm gonna save that for another day. As we just can just continue this journey. So I'll keep going, and because I really seek that and really want that for us as people. And this is not just America. I'm talking about the world. World change. Oh, we've all been duped, and we all have been um, are slaves to this mental game that we're in, and it's not right, ain't right. Our ancestors had a better version of it, but I'm going to tell you, even they weren't right because they just have more respect for life, and I think even that's a big thing. So if we can get back for respect for life, we're back for respect for people, back with respect for selves. I think we can even begin to move in the right direction. But you know, even with that, I think there's still a higher purpose in being, a higher purpose in just being in our state of being. And whatever that is, whatever that looks like for us as individuals, we all deserve to be there. We're all blessed. We're all talented. We're all amazing. And I don't care what no one's ever told you or who tells you or how that made you feel. I believe, because of what I believe and but what I know. So I think it's a little different from what I'm saying, because I know I can look at you and anyone out here and know that you are so much more than than I can even imagine, anyone can imagine, and you can imagine, and you deserve to continue to seek to be what that is. Don't let this world suck you in to being anything other than that. You fight for your life. You fight for what's worth it, and become. And you jump into the furnace every day and stay locked in to your life and your growth. Because we can do it. We definitely can do it. But I appreciate your time. Tell a friend. Like I said, once again, if you haven't, like, subscribe, share. And we'll stay locked in, and we're gonna do it again. I'm sure I'm gonna have some more topics. If you look at the other episodes, we went over a lot of different things, and we surely will. This one was just really important and on my heart, just to get to and touch on. So I did that, and hey, we out the fire, into the wind, until we back again. Stay blessed, my friends and people. We gonna keep on rocking, keep vibing like native tribes, until we get back to that core. So have a blessed one. Be good. Catch you on the next one.